My name is Rowena Kuo, and I am here because I have a heart for people in need. I wanted to end poverty and homelessness, and I believe that the way to do that is through financial literacy. If you put the power of education in people's hands and give them the tools, they will be able to create their own future, create their own success, and get themselves out of poverty and their communities out of poverty. I have with me Amper Garland,
Hi,
and
everybody.
yes, Amper, if you would introduce yourself
Hi, my
briefly.
name is Amper Garland, and I am here in this show because I also like to be the voice for people and help for them so that they can also predict their future. I believe that the only way to predict what your future looks like is to create it. So I have partnered with Rowena, Arvin, and of course Odin, to help spread the mission of leaving no family behind by educating a lot of families about their personal finances and how they can create a future that they deserve.
And we have a very special guest with us tonight. We have retired Sergeant First Class Arvin Alidia, and he is a retired military nurse. We have him here because he is a mentor for us and a great inspiration to me personally, and to Emperor as well. And I'd like to introduce him. Arvin, uh, what brought you here? Tell us your story. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, thank you, Rena, for the invite. And at first, I really okay. So wow, okay, radio. Okay, let's go for it. So I'm really honored to be invited and speak on my passion right now. My story is that I've been did 20 years of service in the military as a nurse. So I retired January of 2019. It's been over 4 years now. And what really made me switch to my to learning the finance because of that I'm retiring. So and wow, was I surprised, right? That 1 year prior to retirement, oh my god, there's so many things I don't know about finances. And so I also was looking that I'm really tired from being a nurse, and I know pretty sure everybody has an idea of how nurse works in the healthcare as well too. And I certainly don't want to do that because I
Tell
assume
us, tell us about your life in the military. What was that like?
what was like. I mean,
Yeah, what was that like?
it's very hectic, right? So I deployed a few times. So I've been to Iraq during the war in Iraq. I deployed 2004, 2005. So it's really a lot of sacrifice, especially for the family, because I've been away for so many times. I think for my 20 years, I've spent a good maybe 7 or 8 years away from them.
Wow, wow,
So, and that's what I said, that if I do nurse, yeah, I'm not in the military, but it might be the same thing because of long hours. Okay.
long
And
hours.
that working conditions that I don't like. But on top of being a nurse, also the military as well too, because lots of demands. So it's not a typical Monday to Friday job with 9 to 5 and so on. No, it's unpredictable. So I really work long hours, right? Sometimes I get up at 4 and then don't go maybe until past midnight because of military operations, but deployment is maxed out, right?
So
Because
when you were deployed, were you in a base, or were you in a mass unit, or what kind of situation were
um
you in a hospital?
so we are in what you call combat support hospital, right?
Mhm.
When we deploy, so we 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 raise our own hospital. Okay,
So you
so
built it. You would build the hospital on site.
we build that.
Wow.
So and yeah, I mean the conditions there, right, in is really tough because there is self-sustaining. So you are your own operations, you are your own cleaners, your own security, and so on. So on top of your duty, right? 12 hours, then you're going to do some other things as well too. But as a leader as well too, then it rises up again, because now you got to do your duty as a nurse, you got to do your duties outside like security and all, and then you also have to look out for people because you're a leader, right?
Right,
So
right.
and that's what I love though. Anyway, don't get me wrong. I love the opportunity to serve, and I have no regrets doing it. But should I continue? Because I had the option to stay another 4 years, right? But I said no, it's enough. 20 years is enough, right?
How many years did you spend? 10
20,
years?
20 years.
20.
20 years.
Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing. Thank you
awesome.
for your
Thank you.
service.
Mhm. Yes. So now, I venture into the financial industry. So instead of healthcare now we're going to the wealth care, and I think
Mhm.
that's important. Okay.
Very.
Yes. So now I figure out how to make such a larger impact. Okay. Because if I help some people as a nurse, they might just appreciate me by that person or the patient, their family. But if
Mhm.
I help somebody in the financial field, I really help legacy, right? The generations.
Wow.
Um, and that's why I really am passionate to that mission and for what we do, right? Financial literacy. So, yeah.
How did you start? What made you decide to do that instead of nursing?
I look around. It's
Okay, so you
basically,
were doing some research.
yes, I'm doing research
Okay.
because I'm transitioning. So 1 year prior to retirement, the military allows us to take classes and so on to prepare for retirement. So I was looking around and see what can I do, even though I know that could be my option. I could do the traditional route. That seems to be the best and easiest. Just
Mhm.
go whatever you do, and even my friends, my family, just or go and work for the government. You can easily do that.
Mm.
Go work for the government, for the VA, and so on. But in my leadership position, right? So I manage 8 clinics. That's my last duty. So
Wow.
I'm yes,
You managed 8 clinics.
yes. So I was a department of medicine in our hospital, the manager, right? Manager supervisor. So I manage 8 clinics. And so I work with a lot of healthcare, especially doctors and nurses. And this is the story, like how it really struck me is this, that one of the doctors, and I was in doing rounds in his work in his office, and I asked him, "Hey doc, you are in your 60s now, right? When do you plan to retire?" Right? So I mean, surely, I mean, you've been working for so long, you could. And you know what his terrifying answer,
Answer.
you think? Is he
What
told
did he
me,
say?
"Arvin, I cannot retire."
Wow.
Why? It's because I'm still paying for my student loans.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine that?
At
Can you imagine?
70? Oh my God.
Exactly.
Yes. Can you imagine that? We went to school for doctor's degree, maybe 8 or 10 years, maybe in your 30s already. Okay. And in work for maybe 30 years as a doctor, right? And you still haven't been paid for a student loan. That's crazy. And then that made me realize, I look around a little bit even further. I work with, nurses, sometimes husband and wife. They work together as nurses, and yet what do? Most of them work separate shifts, one nights, one day, right?
Mhm.
They don't see each other. If they do see each other each month, maybe 2 days, and they'll do chores. What do? They don't even go out. They just do chores or sleep, do laundry. What kind of lifestyle is that? So I said to myself, wow, my God, if I follow the exact same thing, I'll be in the exact same boat. That's the awakening for me. I said, I need to do something else. I need to look something else because something's missing. Right? Why is it these people earn so much, but they're not getting anywhere? You know, for a fact, Rowena, is an 85% of Americans, 85% when they're 60s could not retire. That's wow, 85%. So that's why
85% they can't retire
you retire.
when they're in their 60s
Yes.
because they still have too much debt and they
Yeah.
have,
Or it just didn't keep up with them
Mhm.
financially. Not how much money we earn, is how much we do, how we manage money. That makes
Mm. Arvin, have you heard the quote? You keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. Have you
yes,
heard that?
yes, that's
So
insanity.
what yeah, what did you decide to do different? And how did you get there?
What I decided different is I identify what is it, what's the basic. And one thing that I realized as I go to retirement to the military, right, how much I don't know about finance, because it
Mhm.
really is, right? Because what makes people retire, a lot of people think is age, right? They think 65 is the magic age, then suddenly everything disappears, everything is rosy, right? But no, it's money that makes you retire. Because if you have the money right now and you know how to get it, you'll be retired right now in your early 20s, 30s, right? That's what I wanted to do, is able to retire at 40. I know now I'm not 20, but at least at age 42, I'm able to say goodbye from a boss, right? Now I'm on my own. It's been over 4 years now since I retired from the military that I've never started a civilian career outside
Oh,
of a boss. So it is quite possible, but
So
you
mhm.
have,
you went straight from the military into learning about finances and how to manage them.
yes. And now
Wow.
and that's a great thing that I able to accomplish now. My goal right now is to duplicate myself, right? So how many people I can duplicate what I have done, especially the military. So I already have retired at least two people, right?
Wow.
Military, and
That's fantastic.
yes, and that's the achievement. That's what this powerful thing is, the legacy, right?
Mhm.
How much difference can you make in somebody? And I'm looking forward for more able to retire earlier. Right?
Changing people's lives.
Yeah, that's the accomplishment that I'm looking for.
Hmm.
So being in the military, don't you get pensions? Don't you get some kind of subsistence for the rest of your life? Or what do you get?
Okay, so don't get me wrong, it's great. The pension, those benefits are great, but also it gives people a false sense of security, right? Let me tell you this story, right? So I retired from the military, right? January 2019. Okay. And there's such a thing that happened that time called the shutdown, government shutdown. So how would you feel if after working for 20 years, right, and the first time you're out and you're not gonna get paid with your pension and disability?
Wow.
We didn't get paid for 3 months. 3 months.
Hmm.
I didn't prepare myself, right? Then I will be first job that I need to find. I don't care. I have to find a job. Okay. But thankfully, I prepared well, right? I was able to start a career. And yes, the pension is there, but it's only half. It's only half. If you're an officer, right? You know, major, colonel, and so on, you might be doing well, right? But what's the majority? The majority are enlisted. It's small, right? And then they have to, if they get VA disability, right? So it's really not much. That's why a lot of veterans find work. Instead, should they not work anymore because of sacrifices? Yes, I truly believe so, right? That we shouldn't be working anymore because after all the sacrifices that we've done, right, long hours for the family, I wasn't even there for my two kids being born. Did you believe that? Right? They
Wow.
told me no, you go, right? But
Wow.
my son will be born in just 2 months. Can it? It's not that I'm not the one to go. I will go, but can I at least wait, right? But no. So those are some sacrifices that we make as military. So that's why I said if we can retire 20 years and after that, that's it for us. Yes, we should, but we don't because
We have to.
there's a huge income gap,
Mm.
right? That people don't realize. And that's what I wanted to educate most military too, because there's a way that you can retire right now. And when they teach them, they said, oh, it's the norm. No, it's not the norm. That's not the norm, right? There are better ways, right? How is it possible, if you guys haven't thought about this yet, how is it possible that from every week, right, we spend most of our time at work than with our family. Does that sound normal?
Nope.
Nope. But we accept it as a normal, but it's actually abnormal. So we just went to flip it around. So let's spend more time with family and then less time with work, but still, right, able to earn and provide. Okay.
Well,
So
there's another issue that I have that people don't think about is that people spend more time at work than they do in their apartment.
I know.
And they
And
pay
hold
for
on,
the
your
apartment.
apartment is basically a storage shed. You're spending thousands of dollars a month on a storage shed. Think about it, people. That's what it literally is, a storage shed. Because you barely, I mean, weekends, oh, I'm off. Well, I got to go shopping. I got to go run, pay bills. I'm
Of
trying to get a
course.
date. I'm trying to go out. I'm trying, okay. You're trying to get some fresh air. You're trying to see some sun. But you're still not home, and you're never going to get the value of that $1,500 apartment that you're spending money on.
And never mind the utilities that you have to pay.
Oh,
Right?
yes. And those utilities.
Right.
Hold on. And then you got internet in your house and cable TV that you're
Never
not even
use.
spending on. Oh, God.
You
Yeah.
gotta watch for 5 minutes maybe before you doze off to sleep.
Hold on. 5 minutes. As if you're starting to think about the amount of money you're spending sitting in your house for no reason at all. I mean, literally, your house is a storage shed. It is a quote unquote casket, a grave. And that's what it becomes after a while. This is your chance to lay down, to rest, hope to get back up on Monday to go back and do it all over again. And guess what? I'm going to pay this man over here $1,500 a month so that I can have a nice, safe grave.
Yeah.
You
Right.
better listen to this man, people. Listen to him.
Yep. Crazy. Yeah. No, how many people have talked that they work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to make a living?
Mhm.
And actually, they say make a living, and actually, it's not really living. If you
Mhm.
put it,
It's just
most
barely
people,
surviving.
there you go. Yes, they're surviving. That's what the word is, surviving. So
Mhm.
would you rather make us living or surviving? And that's what I think the what we need to educate people is the distinction with that one. What's the difference between living and surviving? A lot of people think what they're doing, you're living. No, you're not living. Yeah, you're just surviving right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
Going through emotions.
Mhm.
And so we're here to talk about ways that people can not just survive, but to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And there are options out there. There's education out there for you that where you can come up with a plan to get yourself out of debt, um, to have increased cash flow. That's what we wanted to talk about tonight also. Arvin, if you could enlighten us on how to increase our cash flow.
Increasing cash flow. So, in simply put, you gotta find a way to earn income, right? You gotta be open-minded. Okay, so you can do 2 ways, right? And you can save yourself and make your money work for you. Invest too. But let's just face it, does a lot of people have money? Nope, right? So if the second option is far better, yes, seek an opportunity. And there are a lot of opportunity out there. They can go Uber, Lyft, and so on, start your own business, right? There are a lot of opportunity. Okay, but what you have to do is understand which one will give you the most, right? Because it's still time.
Value
One
for your time.
Yes. One thing people most don't consider is a time factor. Okay.
Mhm.
So how much time you still have? And I think that's the biggest thing as well. To a lot of people are disillusioned that they always think, "Oh, I have time. Don't worry. I'll start a business later on." No, you don't have time because tomorrow is never promised to us.
Mm.
That's why it's more importantly that if you're gonna find a way to earn extra income, and maybe but also find an extra income, but will also allow you to replace what your current income is right now, right? That's 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 the better part, right? And that's what I'm able to find. right? Is at first I began as a part-time to just have extra income, but then able to transition now to what I'm doing to my full-time. Okay. So, and like I said, a lot of opportunity out there, right? And you just have to find what works for your passion, basically, right? And that's very important, but it's really not too time incentive, it is intensive for you, okay? Because a lot of people seek a part-time job where it offers another 8 hours, 16 hours. That's not gonna do it, because what happens if you also increase to your job, right? Under part-time, you increase your taxes and here, all in taxes too, right? It's that house, it's a grave, then you pay taxes on top of that, right? So that's the problem also, right? So that's why you be careful. So what you really need is an opportunity that gives you tax incentive, right? And that's what I was looking for before. So I'm able to make income before, and what I did is I became a professional. Okay. So I got my license to become licensed professional and a financial professional. So I really operate in helping people. What's great about what I do is I don't sell anything. I don't offer products, because that's just traditional business, right? Traditional business, you have to sell something. Soap, coffee, whatever it is. But that's problematic because a lot, you can get one at Walmart for cheaper price. And so you have to convince people, right? Something that they already are getting for cheaper price, right? And even if you do get that, what about another month or so, they'll come up with something new, then there you go. But for us, I'm a service provider. So I'm a license. So that's what I'm able to find out. I serve people, right? I give people what they need. And what do the most people need? What's that product? It's money, right? Do people use money? Yes, it's timeless, right? But the question is, do they need information on how to make it grow and save it?
Okay,
So
Alvin, I got a statement. I mean, I understand you call money a product. Definitely I understand that. I mean, we're both in the service industry. Me, I'm trying to get the word out so that everyone can learn something new, to have some intellectual conversations at home, so that they can figure out how to manage what they do have, especially with this show. They gotta learn to manage. And I mean, my girl Rowena, my girl Amper, y'all my beast, okay? And Ben, my little bling, bling, bling. All right, all right. But the bottom line is, I want to understand. We're in the service industry, and yet it's so hard to climb up the mountain to get a rotating income in, with being at service to others, because others will drain you dry. How did you do it?
well, one thing is, I will tell you, is passion, right? So when I came from the military, so my experience is that I always take care of my soldiers. I call the soldiers, right? The people that are, I know, as under me. So day and night, I take care of them. I coach and mentor them. So as a leader. So when I try to transition, right, that's what I was looking for, right? A way to coach and mentor people. Okay. And actually I was leaning towards nursing instructor, because I was a nursing instructor in the military, right? But they told me this: nope, sorry. In order to be a nursing instructor, you have to go to school again, college, for an education degree. And
Yes,
that's crazy.
yes,
What the hell? Like, sorry, right? What the
yes.
heck, right?
I
What
believe
the
you.
heck?
They did the same to me.
What the heck, right? I already did that. I did the job already. I've done it. And now you're telling me that I have to go to school to do the exact same thing that I've already been doing? That's a waste. So that way I can have student loans, right? So that's why I said, you know what? And I'm gladly that I landed on this opportunity, that all I have to do is get my license, get trained, and that's exactly what I do. Now, to answer that question, do you how I do that? Is because of passion, right? I'm really passionate on giving people information. I don't care whether they take it or not, but I will give it because I want to give it freely. Okay. So if they don't want it, then oh well, I'm not the one getting hurt anyway. It's because who's going to pay the high taxes? It's not me. Who's not going to retire? It's not me. I'm already retired, right? So who's going to grow who's going to lose money on their investment? It's not me as well too, right? So whether it doesn't matter to me whether listen or not. I'm still gonna give it because we firmly believe that financial literacy is open book, everybody. That's what we're trying to do, Odin. It's because we're trying to it's what we call new industry, right? Because the old industry, Odin, only serves the ultra wealthy.
It gives them all the money and all the power. And what do we get? We get the crumbs on the ground, and some of the crumbs don't even feed a cat, and I mean, or a hamster or a ferret. It might even not even feed a goldfish. I mean, goldfish flakes cost, so it might not even feed them. The bottom line is, no matter how hard I fight to climb that mountain, with the numbers we have on this network, with the ability this network has, with the dynamite, I mean, I call them Ultra Godzilla hosts we have, like Rowena and Amper. It's so hard to go out there to grab hold of all the advertisers that we need to keep not only the network surviving, but to put something in the pockets of these hosts. And it's because they say, well, are you on an FM channel? Well, guess what? I'm sorry. Internet radio gets more listeners than your city FM station, because most people do not have a radio in their car that picks up FM anymore. We pick up FM, Sirius. Yeah, we're on Sirius XM. Yeah, they pick up iHeart. Yeah, we're on iHeart. I mean, with all the energy that we put forth, or I put forth into making this product right here, the network grow, to make the product blossom, with all the great numbers we have, because I mean, over the weekend we had 750,000 listeners. Yeah, wow. 750,000. Hold on, can you say CNN Plus, you suck? Yeah, the bottom line is, we're doing the job, we're doing the thing, we got the listenership, but you know what the problem is? With all that good push, that good power, that listenership, those people watching not only on video, listening to the stream on gern-radio.com, and all our subsidiary channels playing the same shows that you're listening to right now, all over the world, I can still say, I can't get an advertiser like Nike. I can't get a pharmaceutical company. I can't get, because they want to go to these other people out there. Or maybe it's just our skin color. Maybe it's our culture. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm in this mood now that I'm trying to figure out why I can't get the advertiser. The numbers are beautiful. Anybody would want 700,000 listeners. Why is it? That's my question. Sorry, long-winded.
I don't know the answer to that, because what we offer is uncommon, right? People really want what's natural and common to them, because, and you're right, social media, and that's why it's a hard battle for us, is because we're trying to give common sense things. Because what do the most people, and I'm gonna say a few names, okay, and forgive me, right? These people most tend to listen to Swiss Orsman, Dave Ramsey, right? Celebrities, right? And what's crazy is that they listen to those people, right? And then they don't even know that they exist.
Hold on.
Right?
And the celebrities are lying to them constantly. Okay. Yeah, fake news, all that stuff. We don't do fake news here. Go ahead.
So, right? They don't even know that they exist, and then you're going to take their word for it. And what I learned, Odin, is that financial is like medicine, right? When you go to the doctor diagnosed you specifically because you came to them because of you, specific to you. It's same thing with finance, right? Finance is the same way. You got to be specific to you. You really need an advisor to help you with your problems. And they'll go Google and whatever, and then, yes. See, they're talking to the general public. We're talking about you now. Okay, and sometimes also you talk a good point, Odin. You talk about climbing. Yes, you know what's problem also, Odin. Some people don't even know that there's a ladder that exists. Right? They don't even know that there's a ladder. Okay, so and that's the problem there. Okay, so that's why we educate. Really. That's why we promote education. It's really, it's really financial literacy that's going to be the key. Okay, because if you know how to manage money, you can retire in your 30s.
Yeah.
Right. So here's a example, Odin. Right. If most, and I didn't know this, and it really blew my mind. Okay. Did you know, Odin, that if you have a child, firstborn or newborn child, the only amount of money you need, if you can ever get it, is $13,000. If you can invest 13,000 within the first, if at birth, or at least within the second year, 13,000, Odin. By the time that they hit 60, they will have at least 1.4 million.
Are you serious?
Seriously. Do you think that information is necessary to be learned by everybody?
That's
Yes.
why this show is here. This is why I
There you
want
go.
these people to learn. That's why you're
Right.
here. Teach us. Teach
It
us.
could be more, right?
That blew my mind. I wish my mom and my dad knew that information. They put it under my name, right? But no, America, we didn't teach financial education. Isn't it crazy, Olin, that they teach sex education in high school, but never single, and only a few states teach a little bit of finance. But
Oh yeah, they don't
I
teach.
think 4.
Yeah.
all right, so,
Yeah, they teach it. Yeah, they don't teach finance at all. Home economics, how to take care of your home, how to manage money, how to cook, is gone. I mean, people waste so much money going out to eat that they lose every penny that they have. I mean, honestly, I know somebody personally that would go out to Taco Bell every day. You know what I'm saying? You gonna listen? You paying the owner. You over there at Mickey D's. Don't you know you can get ground beef for cheaper? Well, hold on. You used to be able to. I mean, the economic slide is killing us now. I mean, but I understand where he's coming from, and I hope people out there listening do too. Go ahead, brother, because I mean, you're on the right path. I mean, this is why the people are listening. Let's do it. Give them some education.
right. You have to really have what we were talking about.
Making that money.
Okay, so yes, do the secret to having more money is just to be open-minded, right? You have to look for opportunity that will work for you. But if you are going to look for opportunity, you got to make sure you put time as a factor. But don't make it as an excuse, though. A lot of people use an excuse. They said, I don't have time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how to intensify your time. How about if you find an opportunity in 1 hour, you really could earn a lot, right? Because of a profession that you're doing. Okay. That's why I made the switch to finance, is because I know that I typically help when I analyze people within 1 hour to 2 hours, right? The pay is good, right? It's because I help. Why do I get paid good? It's because I solve people's problem, financial problem. Okay, I don't sell them, hey, you buy this or whatnot. No, I solve their problems in their finance. That's why I get paid. Okay, and is it wrong? No. What are these professions? Doctors charge you, and so lawyers charge you by the hour, right? And because what do? They solve a specific problem. For me, I solve a specific problem, right? So that's why, okay? And that's why in only an hour or so. So why will I find an opportunity driving? Nothing wrong driving, right? Don't get me wrong. Driving Uber or Lyft, right? That's what you want to do. But if you really want to make a difference to your family, give them more time. Right? How does it make sense to you that you want to spend more time with family, and yet here you are going to find a part-time job that takes you 8 hours or 10 hours
Away from your family.
away from your family, right? So find an opportunity that doesn't take much time. Okay, but you also can find something that earns a lot. Okay, So that's what got me in. Okay. But if it's really your passion to drive, then go. So be it. Right. But or cooking or whatever.
I
Okay.
have a question.
Right.
So, what opportunities out there that is available that you can actually like duplicate yourself, or how do you max out your time? Everybody has 24 hours in a day, right? So
Mhm.
how then you get to get more out of like maybe 8 hours? How do you do that, Arvin?
So, and like I said, there are a lot of opportunity out there, and I'm just involved in opportunity that I'm also able to train others.
Okay.
Okay. So, and that duplicates my time, right? So
Mm.
I train others to be just like me to become licensed. So I offer my training for them, and the company, gives me what you call spread. So that way they because I train those people. It's,
Correct.
but in the traditional manner, right? It exists anyway. That's what agency in the financial world we call it agency, right? Company and then agency. So let's say if you are working for a specific agency, you come to there, you become licensed, you work under them, right? So the owner and the manager makes money out of you because they brought you in, right? But right, they make money, but they pay you. But for us, they don't pay me to train them, okay? Because they're not my employees, right?
Mm.
I teach them how to become licensed, but if they become independent and successful now, then the company gives me that for that training. Okay, that's why
So I
I love.
think that that's an important distinction to make. It's not the person you're talking to and training that is giving you the money.
Yes,
It is you are they are investing the money they give in themselves,
yes,
in their own licensing, in their own education,
Mm.
um, and and uh, and you are teaching them, and it's the companies who are giving you the money, not the clients or the people you're educating.
yes. And in the financial industry, we don't have to prove it, right? Okay, here's the most common thing most people are misconceived. A lot of people tend to think that it's gonna be the healthcare that's the most profitable. That's why a lot of people, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, and so on and so forth, right? Yes, I'll give you that. The health industry is very big. I'll give you that. But it's not the most profitable. Financial industry is the most profitable. It makes perfect sense anyway. Odin, what does the medical profession do, right? Healthcare,
Healthcare.
right?
And,
Medicine.
and hold on, healthcare. But who overlooks healthcare? Pharmaceuticals, because they want to get paid. I mean, it's a total ladder. In case people haven't figured it out, and it's the screw job of the year. So what these people are teaching you is the truth: how to get around the ladder.
Yes, right. So what does the food, of course, food industry, food, right? So what does finance do? What money?
Finance. Mhm.
Finance, right? Money, right? So
Money,
where do it
money,
make perfect sense to you? Where is the most profitable? Which product? Is it medicine? Is it gonna be food or is it gonna be money?
Money.
money.
Money, right? So
Everybody's business.
finance business, right? So that, and everybody wants that. For it's not to be what money motivated. It's not what I'm trying to get at. Okay, because money is what drives everything. Okay, money is a tool only,
Mhm.
right? Money is just a tool to get what you want and need. To have more time with your family, to have more vacations, right? So that way you can take care of your mom, your dad, and so on. It's still gonna be money. So
Mhm.
what industry could do that is the finance industry, okay? Because directly. So that's why it just makes perfect sense to me that that's what I need to focus on, right? So nothing that I hate about nursing. I still love nursing, but I'm just had enough of it, right? So
20
He
years.
said, "I
enough of it.
quit." He said,
Yeah,
"I
it's time for a
quit."
change. Okay, so now it's time to me to focus the important things that really could matter to change my life and for my family's life. And I think that's also one particular problem with most people. It because they always try to think that when they graduate from school, whatever their profession are, that's who they are. I told to most people this when when I teach them about entrepreneurship, right? So, your profession, that's not who you are. That's just a profession. Who you are first, you got to remember is this. At first, you are daughter, a son. You are father, you're a mother, you're a sister, you're a brother. That's who you are first. So your priority should be that role, right? Is to get fulfilled so that way you take care of your family. You can switch professions because that's just a vehicle, right, to this life, right? But you got to find out how to get to your most fulfilling role that you have. And that's what I found only. Nursing will not get me there. I'm just going to be miserable because if I waited another 25 years, I'm going to be miserable. Will I get what I want? No, because a lot of people are not getting what they want. But I made the switch easily. Did a lot of people judge me? You forgot your license and everything. You work so hard for that. Yes, absolutely, I will because I enjoy my life right now better, right? Because I'm able to retire my wife, right? Both of us are retired at 42. And then I spend most time with my kids. Anything that happens for, in my family, right? I'm prepared for it. Okay. And that's what I learned is I'm not my profession. If I have that mentality that I'm going to be a nurse, I'm just going to stick with it for the rest of my life, I'm going to be miserable right now. But also I realize this is that if I listen to that norm, right? Look, that's why I'm so thankful, right? That God gave me this, right? That I'm able to listen because if not, then I would have been in the COVID pandemic straight on as a nurse, right? I had at least 4 relatives that died last year.
Wow.
4, right? So and I can't believe people still believe COVID is not real, right? Right? COVID is real. We are affected. And if not, and I will be probably would be one of them because I will be working as a nurse.
Mhm.
Okay? And a lot of things that happened, right, that prepared me for it. So see, we got to have this mindset that we are not our profession. We are not. Okay. We got to pursue what fulfills us.
Mhm.
That's it. And that's what my message to everybody is when I talk with people, right? You can be anything that you want, right?
Mhm.
You have to pursue how to get there. Okay, that's
Mhm.
why it's so important. Okay, if you want more free time with family, then finding a second job will not do it, right? It takes away from that.
Mhm.
Okay, if you wanna be, then you have to be entrepreneur when you can make your own destiny and
Mhm.
somehow replace your profession.
Mhm.
Okay,
I,
and I
I was
always
gonna.
tell the people is that the best time to start a business is when you don't need it yet. That's why it's best to start a business part-time that will offer you the opportunity to do it part-time. Okay? Because the best time to start a business is when you don't need it yet.
What I liked the most was when Rowena said that it was the best job she could ever have was being her own, on her own, and at home. I love that part. And I know Amber says the same thing. It's like, yeah, I can choose my own time. I can, hold on. I don't have to say it's lunch break or I got to run to the bathroom. Hold on. I can go when I'm ready. Hold on. I don't have to finish this. Excuse me. I gotta be right back. Oh, I'm about to say you did it. There's a cat. I love
And
your cat. She got a
anyone who knows me knows that I love to travel.
yes.
So I wanted a job where I could just pick up my laptop, take it with me, and go anywhere I wanted to go.
I
That
totally
that to me is freedom.
Okay, you got somebody hopping in. Robert Banfield, you're up, Cowboy Bob. He's coming in to ask some questions or
Oh,
whatever. Let's see
cool.
what the Cowboy Bob is doing. Hold on.
Hi, Bob.
Stop,
Hello, Cowboy Bob.
Bob. You're wearing the wrong
Welcome.
hat, Bob.
Oh, I did that for a reason. I did that for a reason. I'm making a point.
okay.
Okay.
If you can read the hat, it says Banfield University.
Established year.
Whenever he was born, that's when it was established.
Everything that has been said to point has value and truth. However, I would propose this, okay? In the greater scheme of things, the average people, those living in this country, and I would suggest probably on a worldwide scale, do not have the opportunity, the circumstance, or the initiative to boldly go where Mr. Adela has gone.
Mike,
Okay?
up a little bit. Bob, Mike, up a little bit.
Hang on, okay.
Okay, just tilt the curvature, man.
Okay, microphone.
And just pull the cord up. You know the thingy.
It's up. I don't know. Test speaker. There we go. Yes, I hear it. Yes, I know it's there.
But
Well,
he's
I
right.
mean, you do have a good point there, Cowboy
I'm
Bob.
trying. I'm trying.
There
you
you
go.
go. There you go. We can hear you. Now.
So look, the average individual, fortunate if they are to get out of high school. If the parents are of that lower to low middle income bracket, there's very little chance that they've got the kind of money to go to college. So what do? Well, in most cases, I think the biggest problem that we have, at least in our society, and I would suggest that probably France, Germany, England, you can find a lot of the same thing. And from what I've seen of video, there are a lot more third world countries that seem to have great big metropolitan communities. Okay, although we're told how poor they don't seem to be all that poor. But here's the problem. I have to find a niche. Life begins with you. Not that guy you're working for, not the next door neighbor, not the people down the street. It's you. When we were cavemen, we spent all of our time trying to find food, sustenance to keep us alive, fresh water to drink. Okay. We sought shelter. When we learned, we built shelter. But before we built, we adapted. So we found caves, whatever, hole in the ground. We made that our shelter, our windbreak from nature. These are the substances that you need. Since I've been a small child some 60 odd years ago, the drive from those folks in New York at Madison Avenue, which represent the interest of all the great big corporations across the country and the world, have had one concept in mind, and that was to perpetuate you to consume. You must have it in order to keep up with the Joneses. But when you can't make your house payment, the Joneses aren't going to rescue you unless you're related to them. Right? They're going to take care of themselves. You're going to take care of yourselves. So maybe day one, starting out, when you first step out into society as an adult, looking for employment, looking for opportunity, the thing you should be thinking about is, how am I going to take care of me? Now, my life was fairly well cut and dry. Things were laid out for me right up to a point where I rolled over in bed one night and died. I was resuscitated. Obviously, I'm still sitting. But the repercussions of that event meant that I could no longer do any of the things I had ever done before in order to gain a living. I had to completely redefine myself. Now, that's interesting. Everybody says, okay, so what you just did. Here's the problem. I had a fourth grade education, not a high school diploma. I didn't have the skill sets. I didn't have the paperwork. I didn't have the degrees. I had to figure out what to do. And I looked around and I said, well, opportunity knocks, but you have to have your eyes open long enough to see the opportunity. Okay, it may not be a neon sign that says, come over here. As a matter of fact, I would contend that if it is a neon sign, it's a scam. much along the line of right now they're talking about, oh, hedge against inflation, buy gold. I find that curious because if gold is so damn valuable, how come the guy who has it so willing to sell it to me? I would think he'd want to keep it if it's so valuable. And if my money is so worthless, then why is he willing to trade this precious metal for my cheap paper money? Unless he's not telling me the whole truth. And this is where it begins for all of us, or it should. They don't teach us this in school. They don't teach us basic mechanics. They don't teach us basic housekeeping. They don't teach us basic woodworking. They don't teach us. My father got out of the service in 1945. He built his own house with his own two hands. He didn't pay a contractor. He went and he found the things he needed. And as I was told the story, a lot of cases, he went and got leftovers from other construction sites, made a deal to buy that off rather than let it be waste. So rather than going out and buying brand new timbers to build a house, he went to somebody else's construction site and said, hey, you got these leftovers. You want to sell those? I'll give you so much for them. Then he took those back and used them in his house. Now that was the beginning. You see, he owned his own home. He didn't buy it, he built it. Okay. Now, what I learned with the help of my spouse, my dear loving wife at the time, she's passed since, but at the time, she was very resourceful and very understanding of my physical situations. And she and I both concluded that the best thing we could do was invest in us, not invest in something else that we couldn't control. Because there is the finite point. You put your money in the bank, you leave it to the bank to go out and loan it to somebody else to make interest so that you can get a percentage return. But if they're not getting any money back, guess what? Your interest rates go down, right? So you're not making 7.4% interest on your savings now. You're making 1.2% interest on your savings now. They're still using your money and they're still charging 14% interest for somebody to borrow that money, but they ain't sharing that with you. You see the disparity here. So one of the things that my wife, who grew up in a very old household, she was a foster child, and these people were already in their late 50s, early 60s when she went to live with them at age 5. Okay. So she grew up in a very old style home, farm, dairy farm people, right? So one of the things that she came up with was we don't put money in the bank beyond what we need to have there for operating purposes. In other words, if I make $250 a week and my cost of overhead is $90 a week, I put $95 in the bank. I don't put the rest of it in the bank.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't let the bank invest it and make money. I invest it. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. But there is another side. As with every coin, there's two sides to the coin. So that functionality of mind over matter, so to speak, money in this case, versus the other side of the coin, which is me, my self-gratification. So there's a lot of things hanging on my walls around here, and that is 50 years of accumulation. But the reality of it is you still need shelter, you still need food, and you still need fresh water to drink and fresh air to breathe. Beyond that, everything else is a luxury item. So I can open a can of food with a buck knife. I don't need to buy an electric can opener. Now that sounds contrite, and in a way it is. But think about it. Now I'm looking at two very lovely ladies in front of me. Okay. Now, Amper is stylishly attired and she has her hair done, but I would suggest that she probably does her hair herself. She doesn't look like she's wearing a beautician's work job there. Okay. Because it would be more outlandish just because the beautician has an ego. Right. So, and I'm looking at Rowena. Now, I'm not seeing bling on either one of these ladies. I don't see fancy jewelry hanging around their neck. I don't see expensive earrings dangling off their ears. I don't see foo-fra and wah-wah in their hair. And although I cannot see their entire anatomy, I don't see piercings and I don't see tattoos. I suggest to you that somebody's making a living off of selling those items. And they make that living because you purchased them. Now, I give you the routine of an automobile. Got to buy a car. Now, a car is simply a vehicle to get you from point A to point B so you don't wear out your shoes walking. However, what do you need in that transportation? Do you need a luxury Cadillac that you paid $80,000 for? Or can you get there in an old used Buick that you paid $500 for? Maybe invested a couple of hundred in repairs and maintenance upkeep on the thing, but it gets you where you're going. Are you a Mac daddy? Can you drive down Central Avenue and go, look at me in my expensive car, look at how successful I am, while I'm living in a chicken coop on food stamps? Or I can drive around in my car, not really care whether or not people think I'm rich or poor, and get where I need to go. But if I bought that $80,000 Cadillac, the odds are, as a minimum wage employee, the reality is that I need that vehicle to get to the job so that I can make a paycheck, so that I can pay the bank for the loan I took out to buy the car I really didn't need. Right? I could have ridden a bicycle to work. Would have cost me a lot less money, and I wouldn't be paying interest compounded. Now, I ask any one of you adults sitting in this room right now in front of me, do you own a car? And if you do, are you making a car payment? And if you are, is that car payment structured over 50 months or 60 months or 80 months? And think about this now. What is your car payment? You went for the lowest possible car payment you could go for, didn't you? Because you're looking at your monthly income budget and you're going, I can afford this much towards that automobile every month. And the dealer said, hey, no problem. We'll fix it. So this is going to be your payment. Now you're applying, let's say, $150 a month to your car, but you're paying interest on that. So the bill that you're getting every month from your bank for that car loan, okay, they're taking out the interest first, and anything that's left in that payment now goes to your principal. So if the interest on that car is $80 a month for that loan, and you paid $150, well, it's not hard to figure this out, is it? You just paid $70 towards the $80,000 you owe for that car. Okay. At the end of 60 months, you're going to buy that car at least once, if not 3 times, depending on the loan deal. Because if you're a young person coming out of school and you have no long credit history and no income backing you, okay, you're going to be paying prime interest, which means you're going to be paying almost 3 times what the value of that car was. And let's keep in mind, you could have bought the $15,000 Volkswagen instead of the $80,000 Cadillac. Would you still be paying interest on the loan? Yes. Could you get out of it a lot quicker? Yes. Should you barter tomorrow for today? I did that. Owned a restaurant, was making good money, had a name and a reputation as a chef de cuisine. All that went down overnight. I didn't see it coming. Nobody warned me. It just happened. So you see, planning on the future is a loser's proposition. The insurance company is betting on it. The bank is betting on it. The lending company that you bought your house through is counting on it. They're all counting on you failing so that they can take everything you worked for and paid for and keep it as their assets now. This is the problem. Invest in yourself first. Now, that doesn't mean I like your idea, Arvin. You know, the $13,000. I remember when Gerber,
Yes,
the baby
Gerber.
food company,
Rowena can say
came
that.
out with an insurance program that you could, and they pumped this to grandma and grandpa at the time. That was the target for the advertising. Grandma and grandpa, for just pennies a day, could set up an insurance fund so that by the time that grandchild, just born now, week old, this grandchild could go to college, those pennies a day would have accumulated into a fund that now would be more than enough to pay for their college education.
Mhm.
It was a good idea. Okay. Don't know what happened to it. Don't know if it's even still out there. But it was a plan. I don't think most people bought into it. I think most people went, yeah, well, we'll take care of that down the road. Because right now, my bills are through the roof. I'm barely making it from paycheck to paycheck. And that is 80% of the population is making it paycheck to paycheck, whether they're on a welfare check from the government every month or they're just working for some guy for 40 hours a week. They're making just enough. What I discovered in the restaurant world was I was cooking. The food was good. The people came back for more. My employer was making a 40, 50, 60% markup off of the actual cost of the production of every plate that went out that dining room. So that included the food, that included my paycheck, that included the building and the cost of the building, the insurance on the building, all the fees, fines, and retributions that the owner had to pay in order to be in business. And he was still making 40, 50, 60% markup. So if you went in and you were getting a $4.99 meal, you can guarantee that that meal really only was costing about $2.75, $2.80. The rest of it was paying for the big house that he and his family were living in, and the private schools that his kids were going to, and the Cadillac that he was driving around. He could afford these things, you could not. But you were making him rich. Why? And this is the thing that set into me. And I started looking around at what I knew how to do, what I could still physically do. Because, see, there were restrictions. I wasn't the man I used to be. I was broken physically. I could barely get up and walk across the room, let alone go put in 8 hours in the kitchen. So I had to figure out how I was going to do this. It's not easy, it's not simple, and there's no blueprint. But look around. There's opportunity there if you look for it and you think out of the box.
Mhm.
Stop buying the crap you don't need. Okay. You think you're getting something grand by buying at Amazon. Trust me, 60 to 70% of the time you can find the same product on the shelf at Walmart for less money. And there's no shipping fee.
They just said that.
But here's the thing, okay? I have the convenience. I didn't have to drive to Walmart. I didn't have to deal with the traffic and take the time and in my busy schedule. Okay, I could just do this on my cell phone, which, by the way, I paid $600 for. I have a telephone right here that I paid $59.95, and there's a phone in every room in my house. It's not cellular; it's a landline. But I pay less for my landline every month than you pay for your service fees to Verizon or Z-Box or whoever you're getting your internet from, okay, and your cell phone from. See, the thing is, you're still trying to keep up with the Joneses because somebody told you you were supposed to. But remember when mommy said to you, when you were, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old, mommy said to you, if those kids all ran off a cliff, would you run off a cliff with them? Well, no, I wouldn't do that. Well, you're running off the cliff, folks. You've been running off a cliff for a long time. And what you got to do is turn around and walk away from the cliff. Quit doing what they tell you to do. Start taking care of your real needs. You don't need all those excesses, okay? Biggest fight I ever had was with a 10-year-old who wanted a Nintendo. Okay? Just wouldn't leave it go. He wanted that Nintendo. I was not going to spend the money on that Nintendo. Any more than when that same kid turned 16, I ran out and bought him a car. I said, you want a car? Go get a job. earn some money, go buy a used car from some guy down the street, learn how to be a mechanic, learn how to change your own oil and your spark plugs and your fan belts and take care of the thing yourself. And it'll get you into a job where you can make more money. And then when you've got enough money and you're comfortable, then you can go out and buy a nice fancy car that you can be proud to drive around in. In the meantime, you simply want transportation. So deal with reality, transportation. Sorry, I did not come in to take over your show.
Well, you said a lot of good points, Bob.
I'll
My
be
man
quiet.
Arvin's like, well, dang, hold on. Let me sit here and relax a little bit. Because this
Well,
man's
let me ask
jumping
you a
up to
question,
you.
Arvin. If a man goes out and he invests some money, borrows it from the bank, inherits it from his grandparents, wherever he got the money, it's not relevant. Takes the money, goes out. He's going to invest in, what is it now? $4.90 a square foot for retail office space. He's not only going to have to pay the rent on this every month, which is probably going to be a couple $1,000s. He's also going to have to pay for the utilities. He's also going to have to pay for the insurance, and he's also going to have to pay licensing fees, whatever that might be, depending on where you live. At the same time, he's maintaining a household for his family. But he's got an empty garage he's really not using for anything except to park that fancy car he bought in. And that car could just as easily sit outside. And instead of shucking out the $2,000, $4,000, $6,000 a month for that office space to do business out of, he could be doing business out of that garage. Hence, he's paying the house payment, and that's his only out of pocket.
You can write that
He's
off.
paying the utilities out of his home. That's his only out of pocket.
He can write that off.
So
Yeah, to a point. That gets tricky. Because you got to be so careful when you do that. See, that's one of those things
That's
that
when you let the house.
First America Transition, whatever that company was that was out there, and they were telling you it was a pyramid scheme, and they were telling you how you could make all this money, and they were telling people that they could do these things with their income taxes, okay, where you could take all these deductions. Problem is, when you start taking all those deductions, they start looking at you a lot closer.
Well, hold on. Let me make a
And
statement.
they have rules.
Yeah,
So
let me make
I
the
can
statement.
take
business by the house.
15% of my phone bill as business expense.
No.
I can
wrong
take
way.
this percentage of square footage for my office against the cost of my home. But I can't take the whole price of my home because I'm living there.
Yes, you can. That's what I'm trying to stop
No,
you.
you really can't.
Yes, you can. The house,
a lot
the
of
business
questions.
buys the house. The business buys it all.
Okay, I'm renting, I'm not owning.
That's
Okay.
right.
Let me clarify some things. First of all, you made a lot of good points, Bob. Really good points. But I'm nothing bad to say. But there are some things that are assumptions and outdated. Okay. So
I'm old, I have an
right.
excuse.
So here, so look at this. So that's why I said, you know, the times have evolved. Right. First, when you said that somebody could own an office space, you don't need that anymore. And you're quite correct, because there are opportunities out there that you don't need an office space. That's why for us, we promote your home office. It starts going to be like that. I do work at home, right? It's been 4 years now. Okay. And do I have an office space still? Yes, I did, because as part of the thing, but it's still very minimal for us for that one. But I didn't start that way. Okay. And you can do that. So yes, you can do that. You can take tax deductions because that's power to that home, right? Yes, Bob, even if you rent, you can take out taxes out of that as well too. But most people don't understand the tax law. And that's the problem, right? It's because they do not understand it, okay? But that's why I found reason why I need to the financial industry side, because for one, I wanted to, you know, I know I need a business to earn money, but what's more powerful is that's my platform, right? Is money as well too. As for us, for me, I know because this my business, I need to know what taxes are.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I teach to people, right? You can start your home business, yes, and we will advise you, and not advise you, but we will teach you, right? What are the tax law applicable to having your home office, right? You're gonna maintain within the boundary, Bob. And my answer to you, yes, even though if that is your place of business, even though you're renting, yes, you are allowed to. But there's a question there that you have to answer, Bob. Your income must be greater than your loss in order to claim your home. But
Absolutely.
but can you claim other things like groceries, like your internet, your cell phone? Yes, you can, right? But the use of the house, you have to have more profit than loss to use it. Whether you're renting or mortgage, it does
Right.
not matter. It does not matter. The idea is you're using your home as a place of business. But will you use your home? No, it's just a section of your home. That's your home office.
For
But you
for
use it.
40 for 40 years, 20 years really, uh, my wife, who was the business manager, as you would say, I was the front man. Okay, I'm a mouthpiece. I'm not the thinking guy. I don't do the math. She paid the flat tax. She never took the deductions. Um, because she said that the key, as she had learned it growing up, the key was, if I have a product and I'm selling this product, and the product cost me $1 per unit to possess so that I can sell it, and I know that I'm going to have to pay taxes on my income, then I include the estimated cost of those taxes into the sale price of the product. So the product is now $3. It's the dollar for the manufacturer, $1 for me, and $1 for Uncle Sam. Now, you want to go a little bit further on that strategy, you add another dollar and you go, this is $1 for possibilities. So this is that dollar of real savings, of real profit. I think one of the things that most people don't realize or understand in the business world when they get into it is that profit is not what's in the cash register at the end of the day. Profit is what is left after all of the bills are satisfied. See, a corporation builds a great big warehouse. They There's a word for it, and I can't think of what it is now, but they marginalize that over a period of years, the cost of that warehouse. And they include that in their debt to profit margin accounting. So they know that although it seems like they're making a lot of money, they're $2 million in debt over here on this building. So they have, before they get real profit, they have to first pay off the debt on that building, or it's not real profit. And see, if you're a shareholder and you wonder why your stocks aren't paying dividends, it's because the company is in over its head in debts. And although it's making good money, they're paying off the debt. They're not paying off the stockholders. That's the price of investing in a business. And in the same way that you come back and invest in yourself. Now, you clearly, Arvin, you invested in yourself. You said it. You got out of the service, you went around, you couldn't get what you wanted. And the first thing they said to you was, oh, you've been to school, but you got to go back again. Get yourself in debt $100,000 or $150,000 so that you can get certified in a civilian process school rather than from the military school. Although we would suggest that the military school was one of the best schools around, right? And yet it's not good enough for the private sector because, and I will contend this, and I think people need to think about this, we forget the existence of academia and why it's there. Academia is not there to teach you. Academia is there so that people who spent most of their time getting educated can now make a living without actually having to work. So those who don't teach, and they live mighty high and nice in the process. Every professor in every classroom in most universities in the United States, I don't know about the private schools, but the public universities, state U's, are paid by the number of seats that are occupied in their classrooms. So they get so much of the tuition for every student that signs up for their class. If they're not making a paycheck, it's because they're not getting anybody to take their class. And until you've been with the university for 10, 15 years, and you've earned tenure, you're not guaranteed that income. You're still working. You're still a huckster and a salesman. You're pitching people on your philosophy, and if they're willing to pay to sit in your classroom, then you get paid. Why are you, who went out and learned a skill, know how to do something, giving it to somebody else to profit off of when you are the commodity? And I think this is what's wrong with our whole economic system, is we no longer see labor as a commodity. We see it as a cost center, and we try to keep it as low as possible. But I barter any manufacturer out there. Please explain to me how you are going to manufacture your product if you don't have labor on the floor to do the work. You're not going to have Kellogg's Special K on the shelf at the grocery store if you don't have people working in the boxing factory, putting it in a box, wrapping it in a fancy label, and shipping it out to Walmart for you to buy. They are intricately important in your whole profit scheme, yet you've tried to dismiss them completely. And the greatest advice I ever got was from a gentleman who said to me, why are you taking jobs from people who are offering them to you, knowing how much money they're making and how little they're giving you? Stand up and account for yourself. You want my labor in this particular area? You're going to pay me this or I'm not working for you. And believe it or not, if you have common skills, there is somebody out there who will pay you what you're worth if you demand it. If you don't ask for it, you ain't going to get it. It's that simple. Now, you went off and you got educated and you now are selling financing. I would hold contention with the statement that money is a product. In a sense, it is if you define it that way and you look at it that way. But money is a barter exchange unit. It is just simply something that instead of a pig for a chicken, I use this paper because it's a lot easier than carrying around a truck full of chickens. Right? So we have money. Money is something you need to have. You barter your labor to gain that money. You use that money to barter for the things that you want. First and foremost, it's about you. Are you worth it? Did you get out of bed this morning? Did you get dressed? Did you shave? Did you go to work? Then you have values. You're worth something. Stand up and demand that you get what you're worth. And if they won't give it to you in the industry, go out and start your own. There is nothing being sold on any shelf in any store anywhere in this country that there isn't somebody who knows how to make it and doesn't need that factory to get it done. But we've rigged the system. So we've convinced you that you can't. You can't just suddenly start making mom's vegetable soup and selling it to people. Well, yeah, there's some hoops you have to go through, but they're very minuscule. And it's worth the time and the energy to understand it and invest in doing that and becoming your own manufacturer and your own distributor. And in time, just like Uncle Ben's converted rice, you go from a guy who has a rice pasture to a guy who owns a corporation and is making millions of dollars and sending his kids to the best colleges in the world. He didn't sell 1 million pounds of rice the first year, and he probably still had to labor for somebody else to keep ends meet. See, the second job is there. Sometimes you do have to reach out and do a little bit more. But again, this comes back to labor. If you're putting in an hour a day to get to work and an hour a day to get home for work, and you're spending 9 hours at work getting paid for 8, because you don't get paid for the breaks, right? But they make sure you take them so they don't have to pay you for them. And then how much time and energy do you spend on getting ready for work, maintaining the wardrobe for work, maybe having to buy a wardrobe specifically for work because you can't show up in your dirty blue jeans and a t-shirt. They want you dressed professionally. All of these expenses are going into this job that you're not getting an ample return on.
Well, that's
And I
the
think
reason
that's
why
the
we
first
got.
thing you got to do is look at that and go, am I getting a reasonable return for my investment? Because you are your own investment.
That's true, and that's what Arvin's here for, right, Arvin? Teach us why we are our own investment. Arvin, you're on mute.
Yes, you have to
I
empower
broke him.
yourselves.
No, you've been.
Okay. You got to find your own craft, really. I mean, yes, I totally agree that you have to invest in yourselves. But what we really try to offer is to people, right? Because the time has changed, right? That we really simply, and you're right, money is a commodity. It really is. But I'm not talking in the sense that it's the most important. What we're just trying to tell people is because time is a commodity, because you have to know how to grow it, because people take it for granted, right? And you said bank, right? You put money in the bank and doesn't grow money. We just wanted people to get educated so that way they become their own money manager. You don't have to hire somebody, right, to be your manager and pay them, when you can simply learn it and you can manage it. So we're just trying to give access to free flow of information about finances.
So how do
Nothing.
how do we do it? Teach us now. Teach us.
Just okay. It's the man is. I only got what 30 minutes. So so what the
We
the,
can
the
have
thing is,
part two. We can always have part two.
okay. So we want to make sure, because one major area, Odin, is that when people do work, right, they find their job and they get comfortable with it, they get their retirement plans and so on, but they never really understood how it works. How dreadful it is when I listen to people, Odin, when I analyze, when I help them out, and they tell me that, okay, I've been working for 20 years and this all what I got. Did you know the average American that works for 40 years, they only have at least 87,000 in their 401k? That's the average. That's the number one reason why people could not retire in their 60s, is because they fall to the cracks. They assume too much. That
Can you
all I
say
need
that number again, Arvin?
87,000,
87,000.
right?
For the rest of their retirement.
Retirement for working, or no, wait a minute. I missaid anything. It's 97,000. 97,000, right, is the average for working 30 to 40 years.
Slaving.
But that hasn't been taxed yet.
They haven't been
Keep in
taxed.
mind
Correct.
that that's
Bob.
what you've got in the
They
bank.
doesn't
It's
pay
not
it.
what's been taxed yet. It's going to get taxed now.
So very, very few have really learned, those who really, not the affluent, but they really took the time to learn. Okay. That's a very exception, that people understood how to make retirement work, but most doesn't. That's why that number is so low and so high. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do, is we teach people how to properly save for retirement, because it is a commodity. You have to know how to use it well, right? But and most people don't. In the most clear distinction, they just simply save in the 401k, or the 401k 403, instead of diversifying. Most people don't even understand the word matching in their 401k or 403, right? Matching. That is how much, as a common rule, right? For all advisors there, right? You never give out more than what they match. So if they only give you 5%, then that's it. Doesn't mean that you don't save anymore. No, you still save more, but you don't put it there anymore. You diversify. In retirement, it's not more is better. It's diversification is the key, because people are mixing with day trading versus retirement planning, right? Day trading is not retirement planning. Okay, that is basically gambling what money that you can afford to lose. But your retirement is not, you cannot afford that to lose, right? So people are confused on that part. They think I'm investing for, no, you're not. Retirement is long term. You have to diversify your asset on that one. And Bob got a good point there. It's taxation, right? So people also, part of retirement planning is also tax planning. You got to know how much taxes would you pay, and that's why diversification coming in. There are three types, right? We what we call, the tax now, and then what we call the tax deferred, and also the tax advantage assets. So you have to diversify in those three accounts. But most people only dwell inside the tax deferred accounts, where they get the most tax. So do you know? Well, first of all, Odin, do you think taxes will be higher in the future or less?
Higher.
Higher, okay. So right now, currently, the highest tax rate is 37%. But could you believe that it can go up to 70% or 90%? And this Bob might understood this. Did you know that the highest tax rate was 90%? Most people forget their history, right? We were 90% during the 1920s because of the war. And guess what we're having right now? War, right? So taxes might go up, right? So now it's 37%, but what if it goes up to 90% again? Can you imagine that? Here's a trivia. Okay, did you know this, Odin or Bob might know this? Ronald Reagan, everybody know that at least, right? Ronald Reagan, the president and the actor. Did you know during his time he only makes two movies? Two movies a year.
One of them with a chimpanzee.
Yep, right? Two movies. Why is that? Is he lazy? Why is he not creating more than two movies in a year? No, it's because the highest tax rate before was 90%. And if you are over 200,000, you'll get taxed to 90%. If he makes a third movie for 100,000 each, right? He gets on the keep on the third movie 10,000. Why would you make a third movie then?
No.
Right? So that's why 90%. And then in the 1970s, it dropped to 70%. In the late 80s, right? That's when it's transitioned to what we have right now. So we are really in the lowest tax rate. But could you see if you don't have to be a magician or a fortune teller to find out. Look at the history.
What is the simple benefit, Arvin, of an entrepreneur versus an employee when it comes to income tax?
A lot, because as a entrepreneur, you can have more tax breaks, right?
That's one angle, but we're talking income tax now. Your actual earned income.
I mean, you can, because of my income, right? I can earn as high as I wanted. As an employee, I'm always on a cap at what my hourly rate is. Okay. Now, how do I'm able to? Yes, in the income tax, I'm able to lower it down because of my deductions. Because I can, and why it's important to have also home business? Because what's my common deductions? I'm using my internet, my cell phone, which I use anyway. But because it's my business, I use it because that's my main thing. So I'm already using utilities. I'm already been using. Do I eat? Yes, I buy groceries, but I already buy that on a regular basis. But because I'm a business owner, I can deduct that, right? When I travel, and Rowena put that out, right? I love to travel.
My hotel, my restaurants, my rent-a-car, right?
I'm gonna
all
take
that
that
gets
anyway.
deducted. Yeah.
Right? I can take that anyway, right? But because of the business, right, I'm able to use that. Why? Because my business meeting people, right?
I think the key to that is you can't cheat, and people tend to cheat. They they take a vacation to Florida and then try to write it off as a business expense, and they get caught, and then they're proud about that, and they don't understand why they're being punished so harshly for doing it. But my point was that I was trying to get to, and I thought you would hit off on, was that if you're an employee, before you see your paycheck every 2 weeks, tax is already taken out and sent to the government.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an entrepreneur, depending on how you're situated. Now, I was a consultant, as I was advised to always be a consultant. Therefore, I was not a service provider with a regular income. I was a consultant. So I didn't pay quarterly. I got a bill every year that I had to pay to the IRS based on my final accounting at the end of the year for what I had earned in that year, post earning the money.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't being taken out every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
where I had to go back to the government now and beg for the money back that I paid them in excess of what I actually owed them. That's the one benefit of being self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because as soon as you sign on that little piece of paper, that W-9 or whatever it's called, okay, you agree to have money taken out of your account. Now, when I was a kid first getting into the employment world, the way that was laid out was you had an option. So you could claim that you were single, no exemptions, and they would take out the full ball of tax. You could claim that you were single with deductions, and they took out a lesser amount every payday. You could say that you were married and had deductions and get even less taken out of your paycheck. So most people automatically went for the lowest out of pocket cost. But then at the end of the year, they would come back and say, well, you owe the federal government money. And my content to all of this is that you don't owe the government anything. Think about your IRS system here. You're asking them to give you back the money you overpaid at the end of the year. That's why you're filing taxes. You're not filing taxes because you owe them money. You're filing taxes to get money back. Your tax return. Okay? You're voluntarily giving them money the same way you're putting money in the bank. You're giving the money to the bank and saying, here, you lend it out and make lots of profit off of it. And I'll just sit back here and go, my money's safe in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My money's safe with the government. And look at how the government is spending it.
Yes.
What did we just drop? $80 billion worth of my tax dollars just got left in a war zone in perfectly good condition. They took that money up front. I don't get to go back now and say, hey, you know what? I'm not paying for that because I don't agree with it. And that is our tax system.
Yeah,
and
that's
it is
why we have
rigged.
to learn it. We have to learn it.
Yeah, you have to, these things need to be understood. And the funny part is in our school systems today, we gloss over that, but we really don't teach it.
In all honesty, anyway, because no matter what, a lot of people, like I said, they always think that, oh, I have to file my taxes. They like, and you're right. People tend to think that way, that I'm gonna get a refund. They just don't realize that that's your money anyway. Well, if you understood it, you want to keep most of it, and we teach people how to get with taxes so that way they can properly get it back, right? And now, but let me bring it up to what I said earlier about retirement as well too. Right? That's why I said those three tax buckets, right? Or what we call three tax buckets, because most people are so only focused on the tax deferred side. They put, let's say, assuming that they have 5% matching, right? And they put 20, 30, they're betting only on one vehicle to bring them in. And the problem with the retirement plan is it's the money market base. I'm not saying it's wrong, okay? But the thing is there's too much risk there. How is it possible when you plan to retire? Do you really want to gamble everything? Odin, would you like to gamble it? Or do you want to secure it?
Actually, I wouldn't gamble it. I would find a nice secure location.
There you go.
A
And
box.
bury it. Oh, yeah.
A box like a tennis shoe box or something. A little home safe, and secure it, because in the end, one day it's going to be cash and carry, which is the best method of living.
So,
I remember when I was young, I used to put money in a piggy bank. Then I used to do a dollar collection. I know everybody's done this. We used to take our dollar, put it there, and look at the box is growing with dollars and dollars. And then you said, hold on, dollars aren't worth nothing anymore. Let's start $5. Then by the time,
So I won't go that far to that secure. Yes, you're right though. You want to make sure it's secured, right? Secured in value, actually, at least.
Isn't that the catch 22 that we're looking at right now, that people need to be thinking about? Is they're talking about it's already digitized, but they're talking about officially digitizing it, meaning they would get rid of cash altogether, which means then all of your assets are there. If the bank closed tomorrow because Wall Street fell down like it did back in 29, and the banks all shut down, you wouldn't be able to get the cash in the bank.
It's already digitized.
You're done.
It's already digitized.
It is. Yeah, it really is. I mean, we still have cash. We're not entirely on that electronic card yet, but they're trying to get us there very quickly. And all that means is that if you don't have assets in your hand, you're just out of luck.
That's why when I said diversify your investment, right? You don't have to resort only in your bank, in your 401k. You don't. Okay, there are other things. That's the important thing, is diversify it. So that way you're not leaning only on one. If the bank fails, then there you go. So that's why you diversify. That's why there's three types of asset that we talk about: the tax now, tax deferred, and also the tax advantage one. So on the tax advantage side, there are different accounts out there, right? One is through life insurance, one is through annuity, right? HSA account, right? And so on and so forth, right? So I'm not going to discuss all of it, but that's why it's important to be literate about that, right? We have to understand it. Is how does your money grow is the main thing, and growing, but also protecting what you have, right? Because you have to guarantee that, right? That make sure it's there for you. The problem is most people only hear one thing, and you're right, Bob. Is the media in this hype, right? You have to put it all here. It's because they scared you to death. No, it's the safest and the safest and so on, right? That's why we want to educate
My
people,
pocket.
right? That it's not so. It's not so, right? And that's why we want to. And I'm glad Odin invited us here, right? So that way we can talk a little bit of how people should understand better to do so.
Let's go with a philosophy of I am a good Bible thumping business mind. Okay, I follow all the rules. I give 10% to the church every month. I pay my taxes. I give to certain charities. I'm making enough money that my bills are paid, my family is comfortable, and we've even got a little nest egg for emergencies. And there's still some money left over at payday. So I now want to invest. Now,
Mm.
I was taught that the coolest and smartest investment that you as an individual can make is invest in the very things that you consume. So if you eat a lot of peanut butter and your kids eat a lot of peanut butter and you're buying peanut butter every week at the grocery store and you see a lot of other people buying peanut butter at the grocery store, buy some shares in Zippy, right? It's a
Uh,
nice little security pot.
that,
Now, is that a wrong approach? Is
that
that a bad attitude?
that was good then, Bob, but now you got peanut allergies. And
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't touch that for $1 million.
yeah, but
I'd rather
if I invest in cell phones,
you're always going to be happy if you invest in Apple.
Here's a business concept I
Hold on.
learned. Instead of actually, the business concept I learned is not so much you, because it doesn't matter if you're the only consumer with it, right? You're the only best customer, right? Is that the business concept that I learned is that you find a need and fill it. It's not you, it's what do most people do, right? Am I every people buying a cell phone? Yes. Okay, then that gives you the, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to invest in that one. All right, but you take it with a grain of salt, of course. You don't just bet everything in there, right? So you got to have multiple, right? Multiple investment thing. So and as an entrepreneur, I mean, yes, you I think what most people don't want to do with entrepreneurship though is that the fear, right? And in my principle is if it makes sense, I'll try it, right? Instead of over analytical on things, right? Oh, will it cost? There's no 100% in life, right? The best way to find out is try it. If it just makes sense, I'll try it. If I fail, I fail, right? But and also a lot of people are too afraid, or they're just what we call a skeptic, too much of a skeptic.
they
And
don't trust themselves.
so, but one thing that we also have to tell them is this: see, you can either be a skeptic or be rich, but never both, right? Because there are a lot of broke skeptics out there. But that's why there's only a lot 1%, 10% of rich, because they are the ones willing to take the risk. Because if it makes sense, try it. If you fail, then oh well, take it to your learning board there. Okay, chalk that up. I learned something, right? But at least you tried, right?
Odin said something about fear today, right, Odin? You said something about
Yes, I
fear. Fear
did.
is a
Fear
some
is the mind killer. Fear will bring us all into insanity. But
Yeah.
guess what? I have no fear. Listen. I've pushed every cent into one product before, and I won, but I didn't pull out in time. I've told people, mom and aunt, products to purchase, Google, but they never, they went and did their thing instead of listening to what the educated youth has to offer. The ideology that I have is that when it comes to investments, you look for the trends of the next big thing. And if they're talking about it a year in advance, or you heard about it 5 years earlier, and you see a company producing it, then go for it. I mean, honestly speaking, the financial awareness of today's world is a hidden commodity. I mean, talking about the people that are involved. They keep it low key, they keep it within the borders of their own. Now, if we can, as they say, infiltrate, I like that word, the ideologies, then we have a better way of becoming more financially secure. But so many people out there in this world are not financially secure enough to get there, and it becomes a system of, I hate to say, points of fear, reluctance. And that's the key. I mean, their key is reluctance. Our key is let's find that new big thing. I.e.
Let me ask you a question. When you were in the service, when you got off duty at the end of your shift, whatever shift you were on,
I bought beer.
That's where I was going. So what did you do afterwards? So you're on duty, you have chores to do, you're off the clock now, somebody else is standing in your position, you're free now.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not free, are you?
No, you're not.
You have
free.
other obligations yet to deal with.
And I'm
right?
still on the pay clock.
You can't just run off to the nearest bar and sit around and chow with your buddies, right? You have other things you have to do. Now, in civilian life, we go to work, we work our 8 hours or our 10 hours a day. We hate our job, we're tired, we're frustrated. And what do? We go and pander to ourselves immediately at expense, by the way, because it ain't free. You can't go sit in that bar for free.
No.
Right? Or wherever you go to unwind from your job.
Well, I used
Remember,
to.
the caveman never had time off.
Right.
Right? His day ended when he fell asleep. It began when he woke up. So does yours. And if you have to do the job, if you're just barely making it, then stop and think about what you're doing with the rest of the time in your day. Are you doing something for you? You've been doing something for somebody else.
I'm always doing something for someone else.
What are you doing now for you? See, that's that second job. That second job is you doing something for you now. Right?
Second job is taking care of mom and aunt. Third job is trying to at least get a breath of fresh air away from everybody so I can coordinate and think and use strategy.
You're an anomaly. You don't have a first job.
I don't
You're just a deadbeat on the internet.
Yes, right. I'm a deadbeat. Yeah.
You're like me. You sit around all day and chat on the internet.
I'm the deadbeat. Look, I'm the deadbeat with 765,000 listeners that just love me.
And if you could get $1 from every one of those, you'd be in good shape.
Oh yeah, but guess what? The economy.
You can't get $1 from even one.
Well, actually, I do get donations. That's a good thing, and the donations do work, and that's a system that I have found very effective. But on the other side, yeah, it's hard to get. I mean, I've seen other hosts out there, they beg and plead. I don't beg. I don't ask. No one's ever heard me ask for anything. I go to key people for that are within the group, within my network, within my circle. And that's where these guys are talking about. They have a circle that builds upon itself. You can be part of that circle. You can all be part of that circle and prosper. I mean,
one thing we know for a fact, okay, or at least logical physics, one man did not build Stonehenge.
And no one man.
Whatever you think about Stonehenge, one man didn't build it. One man did not build the pyramids. It took a whole lot of people working in unison to accomplish that goal.
And that's why you develop a network.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. And a network is not the internet. A network is those group of people that you can rely on who have resources to complement your agenda, and you offer in return resources to them that complements their agenda. And that becomes a network. See, we were networking off of a Rolodex years before there was an internet. Okay. I had massive Rolodexes. All the people I ever did business with, every
Still got
resource
one.
I ever used in my operations or activities. I had choices. Who did I want to work with this month? There were 4 or 5 different vendors, but I picked the one I was getting the best price or the best return for my expenditures. Okay. And that comes back to the simple justification. It still comes back to you, the individual. First of all, you have to believe in you, and you have been spent your entire life being told that you can't rely on you. You have to rely on somebody else, that somebody else is making money off of you. You are smart. You are capable. You are sufficient. I don't care if you're handicapped and disabled or what you are. You can find a way to execute your energies to your best interest, not to somebody else's. Whether you're investing in stocks because you know the company, or you're investing in stocks, I would say right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Arvin, hottest new marketplace that's going to be out there investment wise is
Coca-Cola.
Elon Musk.
Nope, Coca-Cola.
Now, don't invest in Elon Musk. That's a losing proposition. Elon Musk thinks he's worth everything, and he's going to charge you out the Yahoo for 1% of that.
Nah.
However, Elon Musk can't get to Mars without a whole lot of other commodities out there to build his spaceships so that he can launch them up and do his exploration and spend billions of dollars.
He owns those companies.
Invest in them.
He
Find that
owns
company
those
that
companies.
he has to buy that product, and that's where you invest.
He owns
because
the
he's going to
company.
buy a lot of that product and make you money.
He owns the companies that he's using as a product to go to Mars.
No, he doesn't own them all. He doesn't
He
own
owns-
all the plastic companies and all the wiring and all the circuit boards, and he doesn't own it all.
But I like what you said, and it is what for us, our network between Amper and Rowena, we invest on people. That's what we're trying to do, is we empower people to become their own money manager, to empower people so that way they can be their entrepreneur. Okay, that's what we do really. I have no magic products. I'm not here to teach products or whatever. I'm here to empower people that they can do better, right? If they believe it, right, and we give them the right tools, right, they will, because products will come and go, but what stands is the people who built it. And you're right? What stands is the people who built it, and that's what we're trying to do, is empower people, right, to take charge of their own future instead of just relying on surviving. Okay, I quit being a survivor. I want to live, and that's what we want people to have, right? So yeah, and that's it. We just use the financial world as the tool, as the vehicle for that. But it's more about empowering people that they could be so much more. So much more.
So much
So
more.
that's why they have to believe
And
in
then when you gain all that money, when you've worked so hard and made some and saved it, and then you have people you have to take care of.
Yes.
Right. So you have your family, your spouses, your children, your grandchildren. How do we ensure that the money that we make just doesn't, when something happens to us, what happens to the people left behind? And the show is called Don't Be Cinderella, is because Cinderella's problem initially started it wasn't that her family didn't love her, her father didn't love her. It was her father died unexpectedly without a plan, right? He died without a plan, and she was left without any money. She had no power. So it is important for us as individuals and people that we care about, that we have to take care of, that we don't make them into Cinderella because we didn't plan for that.
Well, and that's part of the problem with the retirement plan is we got caught in it big time. So the wife has degrees in computers. The wife gets hired by the Board of Regents. She works through a local university. She's got a 401k plan. They didn't ask her if she wanted it. She was pretty much forced to invest in a 401k plan through the university. Problem is, 17 years into this process, she got sick, very sick. So sick that the company forced her to retire because she could no longer show up 5 days a week and do the job. So now the 401k, which was like $180,000 with the matching funds from the state and the university, because she didn't complete the 20 years, was now only what she had actually put into it in the 17 years of employment, which then was taxed at 33%. So now it's only 2/3 of what she actually put in that fund
It's a corporate
over
screw
17
job.
years. And we didn't have a legal leg to stand on because it was all in the contracts that she signed at employment. And that's one of the problems, that people don't read the fine print. They don't look at what they're getting themselves into. It sounds good, and the salesman is pitching. He's going to make it sound good. I got a car for you, and it's cleaner than the Board of Health. Okay? Well, yeah, you want to get rid of that car. You're going to tell me it's wonderful. I got to use some common sense and look at kick the tires and check the oil stick before I buy that car and make sure that that car is in good running condition.
And don't forget running around the highway.
Your 401k, same thing. Look for the loopholes. Believe me, if your employer is doing matching funds, they've got a loophole in there to get out of it if they can.
And that loophole was your wife being sick. But
she got sick, and you can't see that coming.
And that's why this program is here. These guys are teaching you, hey, you don't need the loopholes. You don't need the 401k. You don't need all that. We're going to show you the right way to do it and invest it properly. Hey, Miss Cinderella up there, you know what time it is.
It's just amazing to me, the wealth of knowledge that's out there. We just have to reach for it. We have to ask. We have to grab those skills for ourselves. We have to just empower ourselves and learn and be teachable, coachable. And if it's only by doing that we can secure ourselves, our future, the future of our children, for generations. Because no one's going to look out for us, right? Who's going to look out for us? We can't depend on our children. Are we going to force our children to take care of us in our old age? We're the Cinderella looking for somebody to save us. We're not, we want a fairy godmother or a handsome prince to come and take us and take care of us. No, we have to be the ones to create our own future and live happily ever after.
I think the greatest acid test is if you were in a plane crash and you were the only one left alive and you were on a mountainside all alone. Could you survive? See, if you're not thinking about that, then you're not preparing for your own future, because at the end of the day, it will end up being you. And if you haven't figured out how to be resourceful, useful, and applicate yourself to your own best interest, then you're not prepared to survive that plane crash. You'd be better off if you died. And that's sad. And there's so many people out there right now, especially between the ages of 50 and 80, who are completely unprepared for the circumstances they found themselves in. And they're struggling, and they don't need to be. And if you're 20 or 30, you can start looking at that today. I think that's the smartest thing I ever did was when I started looking at my grandparents and going, wow, I don't want to end up like them. And I did that when I was a teenager. And so I started making plans to not end up like them. And I think that's where the value of what you're doing, Rowena and Amper and Arvin, it's there for those people that are in a position to do that. That's a wonderful approach. For those people who can't even see their way to do that, they're still going to the paycheck cash store against their car title, okay, just to keep the bills paid every month. They're not ready to pay for money management. So they have to figure out a way to survive by being clever. And I think learning to be clever is the key to all of this. And learning to trust your own cleverness is the hardest part of that, because we're not taught to trust ourselves. We're taught to trust the system. And the
Arvin,
system's rigged.
Arvin, I gotta
Yes,
say
I'm
it
back.
to you, my brother. Tonight you've really schooled. Bob, you schooled. Rowena, you schooled. Amper, you schooled. You know something? I guess tonight these people know we need to know how to contact y'all. So guess what? Amper? Nah. Rowena? Nah. Let's go to the man Arvin. Arvin, how do they find you, man?
How do I found? I know. So I'm in the social media, of course. I have a Facebook page. That's my name, Arvin Aleja, there, right? And you can hit me up on Facebook. I also have a website that's also published in there. So if you need financial information or just simply wanted to learn more, and remember, one thing keeping us as well with us is we never charge. It's always free complimentary service, right?
Ooh,
So we
free
just wanted
complimentary.
free. Information is free. Information is free. So we offer that. So it's free, complimentary. No, no pressure. If you just want to talk 15 minutes, all right, get 15 minutes. Let us just talk whatever your issues are. Okay.
You know
So
something? That's beautiful, man, because most people always say, well, I'm going down to the center over here and I'm going to talk to this guy about how I can reduce my finances. Oh, hold on. I got to take him $300. No,
no.
guys, it's free. Here, we got it free. Here on Global, it's free. This man right here said it's free. Rowena says it's free. Amper said it's free. It's free. Don't listen. There are no cut cards. It's free. Come get some knowledge. Come help yourself. Don't be in that plane crash and be ended up in a wheelchair and not knowing how you're going to survive and keep your apartment alive and your TV and your internet and your 5 kids and your 2 dogs and the grandma sitting on the sofa smoking a blunt. Just stop it, people. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
You can eat the dogs.
Well, I shot one of them. I had to use it for dinner.
A roast German Shepherd is excellent with
Yeah, it's kind
barbecue
of picky.
sauce. Yes.
Amper, hit us. Tell us something.
So, 2 things I learned today, of all the things I've learned. The D word, okay? D word. You know what that is?
No.
Arvin said it, diversify.
Diversify.
Not Daryl, sorry. It's the D word, diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And then, of course, what Bob said, invest in yourself, because part of that investing in yourself is education. And that's what we are for, what we stand for is financial education. And when you educate yourself, then there's less fear. You decide better for your future. And then what my friend said to me, you have the power to say that this is not how my story will end. So you can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Jocelyn Amper Garland, like Arvin. My website is there that you can kind of like schedule a time if you need to talk. Yeah.
Come on, Rowena. You know your mouth is ready to talk.
Okay. So then you can also email us at don'tbecinderella@gmail.com.
What?
And you can also, yes.
Don't be Cinderella.
@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook, and my information is also under my Facebook page. And you can also talk to Odin.
I'm always
And he'll
around.
refer-
Oh, we
and
got
he'll
somebody
refer you
new
to
for
us.
you too, Rowena. So just sit back. She'll be calling you.
Yes, all you want to do is just come and talk to us, and we'll see what we can do to help you.
All right. It says I want to end this with the oldest man in the house with the ponytail, Cowboy Bob.
I'm an open book. If you want it, ask for it. It's free. If you want to reach me, I'm on Facebook. Other than that, talk to Odin. Okay. The fastest way to get to me is through him. The rest of the world doesn't know I'm alive. So.
Oh, me. Yeah. And
You.
Arvin, I want to drop you into the chat as well, because you know why?
Mm.
You got a lot to offer, man. And I know you'll always be around to hop on the shows too, bro, because you know what time it is. You know. And I'm going to let you know, from a Navy man to you, you were right. We came out, we were trained, we knew what we were doing, and then they came and told us, hey, you, no, don't put the tool down. Why? Because you didn't go to college here on the mainland. You learned from that military. That military style is not right. That military
You
style.
didn't pay the privilege fees.
Hold on, no, it's
Gotta
more
pay
than
the
that.
privilege fees. Right.
You didn't talk to the gatekeeper. Which gatekeeper? The one at Harvard University. All right, excuse me. Tell him the bottom line is, the military trained me the right way because I was dealing with it, I lived it, and these people are just paid suckers trying to get their way through life. The military knows exactly what it needs to do to make sure somebody lives, to build an object, to create a space, or shit, let me just say it nicely, to build a satellite. CBs.
Hey, I got out of the service. I knew how to operate an M60 machine gun. Closest thing in civilian life to that was a jackhammer. And that is not a 20-year career. You're not going to run a jackhammer for 20 years. Trust me, it'll break you long before that. My other skill, which I did end up being employed in, was I knew how to drive a tank. And I got hired at a mine, mining cinders to make asphalt, driving a front end loader and a cat push
cat
mobile,
yeah.
Right? So, big Caterpillar, right? Bulldozer. And because I knew how to drive a track vehicle.
You might as well have been a CB.
Those were the only two jobs that were out there. They weren't hiring guys who could shoot somebody from a quarter mile away. They didn't want that. Okay. They didn't want somebody who knew how to polish brass real good and stand at attention for hours. Unless, of course, you wanted to work as a doorman in New York. So you had to find a way to
survive,
find your niche. And amazingly, you
diversify.
Have far more. I think, have any of you guys ever seen the book, What Color is Your Rainbow?
No.
It was an entry book to go to college. It was a very simple, plain statement. It simply asked you a whole lot of questions about what you knew how to do. Do you know how to tie your shoes? Right? And then it asked you what you like to do. And then at the end of that, it asked you to score it and summarize it. Of all the things that you could do out there to earn a living off the skills you already had, the things you never think about, right? If you can butter toast, then you can work in a restaurant on the line as a breakfast cook.
But it's a shame that you got to be certified in the real job.
How to flip eggs, right? Yeah, you got to start at the beginning.
But Bob, Arvin came out a nurse.
You've got skill.
Hey, he came out a RN with, as they say, core treatment, which means he ran multiple areas. And you're going to tell him that he has to go back to school?
Because
you
he has to pay the privilege fees. Right? You can't work at a hospital in this country unless you paid the privilege.
He's already paid the privilege. He fought for the country. He fought for the country. That's the privilege. Tell him, Marvin, you fought for this country. You wore the flag. You sang the songs. You healed the soldiers. And you did more triage than most damn doctors out there. That's where I'm going to get pissed off. Because he did more work than doctors and nurses did during COVID.
Absolutely.
He did Battlefront.
I would rather have a paramedic, a combat paramedic, attend to me in a car accident than end up in an emergency room at a local hospital.
Because the combat paramedic is going to probably treat you right there.
Far and beyond what I would trust those people at that hospital.
Thank you very much. I salute you, my brothers of arms. I salute the ladies. Hold on. I got to do a double salute for the ladies. And you know something? People out there,
I've got one.
Contact them. Contact them. Contact them. You got Rowena. You got my girl Amper. And you got my man Arvin. Arvin's going to be in the chat as well. Contact them because guess what? They're going to guide you to financial literacy. And don't be a Cinderella. Tell them again, Rowena. I like the way you said it.
Cinderella. don't make your kid Cinderella.
Rowena,
And
Rowena, define for me in the context of this platform here. How do you define Cinderella? What makes someone a Cinderella?
somebody who was thinking that somebody else was going to be taking care of them for the rest of their life. They had no other. They didn't think that anything would happen. They thought that they were fine.
A
That they're
kept man
living.
or a kept woman?
Somebody else
Yes.
is going to do the
Somebody
laundry.
is
Somebody
going.
else is going
You
to
Yeah.
clean
just
the
said
toilet.
simplify it,
Somebody,
Bob. Kept man, kept woman.
Somebody's going to
Cinderella.
take care of me. I don't have to worry.
And I
But
think
don't be that way.
don't be that way. Contact these people as soon as we get off air. Their numbers are, everything's on the screen. You contact them, they're going to help you. People, don't be stupid. Last week, I told you you're a bunch of idiots. This week, I'm asking you not to be stupid. Maybe next week, we're going to find some people that I can kiss and turn into a princess or something. I don't know. You know, the frogs. Who knows? But these three individuals right here, right now, are waiting for your call.